What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Movie Mob Podcast. My name is Nick, and joining me in studio, back after a 2-week mini hiatus, is Matt Sampson. Matt, thanks for being here.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate having you.
Good to be back.
Behind
I live for the applause.
Behind all of the switchboards and cameras and all that stuff is my great producer, Josh. Josh, thanks for being here.
How's it going?
It's going good. And live from Gotham City, RJ Carreri. RJ, thanks.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to have the crew back in action. Looney
Always.
Tunes back in action. Good
That's
movie.
right. I knew I should have taken that turn at Albuquerque.
Oh,
What?
We're starting. That's Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny. All right, whatever. We're starting
really?
this
It's been
week
a while.
with a rumor, RJ. Rumor.
I like rooms.
New Christopher Nolan film die early in development, which I find very interesting since he's also currently doing The Odyssey, and you know how I am, one thing at a time. Let's finish and follow through, but see how it goes. It's described, Matt, as a mind-bending thriller. Robert Downey Jr. rumored to be the lead, and will be a smaller scale project set to begin shooting in 2026. What do you think about the stuff I've just said?
honestly, that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
I will say, let's fucking finish the movie we care about first,
Right.
and then do this other. You want to do your indie, artsy shit. Let's do that after we get the Odyssey.
Right.
But just on the face of it, Odyssey, not included, sounds kind of cool. Nolan, thriller, Robert Downey. I mean, I'm in.
RDJ. Yeah.
I don't even need to see a trailer. I'm in just based off those three things.
Mm.
So I think it's an interesting premise at the very least.
You know,
That's what he does best, right?
Yeah.
It is. And you know, Matt, who else has an R and a J in their name? That would be Mr. Carreri. What do you
Oh,
think?
Wow.
What do
thank
you think about this stuff, bud?
Well, I thought it was funny because it said it's going to be a smaller scale project, and then I looked up the rumored budget, and it was 180 million. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think the Odyssey's 250. So is it really that much smaller? But
Can I be honest? I'm actually shocked, not to make this about the Odyssey, but I'm just saying, I'm a little surprised that the Odyssey is only 250 when you can see what he's doing, building the sets and all the other stuff that's involved,
yeah, that's probably who knows? It's probably gonna go up, but I'm sure a lot of that budget will go to Robert Downey Jr.'s salary.
Yeah.
No, it reminds me. Obviously, you think to like how he started his roots, like Prestige, Memento, Insomnia. They're all kind of the psychological thrillers. Like this is his wheelhouse. So I'm excited that after such a big thing like the Odyssey, he's actually going to step back and do something more to his roots, which I like. I like Robert Downey Jr. Here's the thing. I'm going to speculate for a moment, right? Because I like speculating.
Go ahead and speculate.
Die Early kind of sounds like a Bond title, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm wondering, could it be a secret? Could he be directing the next Bond?
No.
And could obviously Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't be the main, but maybe he'd be a damn good villain, I think. I don't know. What do you think?
Could be interesting. Yeah. Well, you know what they say, RJ, there's no time to die. So
Right.
I'm thinking it could be. That would be very interesting. I don't know. See, listen, I'm on the side of Matt here with regard to focus on a project, finish a project before we move on to the next one.
Thank
And we've had this feeling that I'm about to explain a lot in the past, like toward Pedro Pascal and a lot of these people that are very good. I love a Nolan film. Do I need to oversaturate the Nolan films? Do they lose any allure if we're doing 3, 4, 5 Nolan films at a time? I would rather we put the energy into a good story, good film. Not that this one's bad, but I would just rather we do one thing at a time, make quality movies, put them out there for the public, and that would be, and then make this one after. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we need to film this at the same time? Why do you need to be building
Well, he's
sets?
not filming it at the same time.
Why do we need to be building sets in Morocco and then focused on developing Die Young or Die Early? Never, die whenever you're going to die.
If I had to put money on it, I'm guessing obviously in between. I mean, I feel like directors are always kind of have like, oh, what am I going to do next in the back of their head?
Sure.
But I feel like in between Oppenheimer and Odyssey, he was probably juggling a few different things, trying to decide what to do next. So I'm sure that this is probably something that he started developing and then chose the Odyssey. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I'm not too worried that he's like, juggling two things at once here. But no, I definitely agree with you. But I think up until this point, he's always taken his time. He's never jumped into something too quickly. So, I think it'll be all right, but that's a fair concern.
Didn't he also do Inception in between the Dark Knight movies? The Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rise. Yeah. So, I mean, he could do it. I don't know. Maybe he's gearing
but
up.
Not in the same year, right?
That's true. Not in the same year.
I'm not saying don't do the movie. I'm saying you have a huge undertaking. Why are we putting any focus on anything else right now until it's done? And then, even if you can secure funding and secure everything else and sign the contract and say, the second the Odyssey's done, this will be my main priority. Why do we need to do two at the same time? Because what ends up happening is that one of them lacks in some respect or another. That's all.
In his defense, though, at least like he didn't come out and announce this movie. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it is kind of just something that's down the road that some insider heard about. You know what I'm saying?
It says it's set to begin shooting in 2026. That's
yeah, well, they're starting to shoot the Odyssey in the end of this month. So they said that's going to be a 50-day shoot, which is insane. Yeah, only 50 days for the Odyssey, and he shot Oppenheimer in 54.
He's got a plan.
Listen, Nolan doesn't even allow chairs on his set.
I fucking love Nolan.
He's
the best.
Don't get it twisted. The guy is militant on set. He knows.
But does that make you feel better?
Yeah, a little bit.
He'll be done shooting it by the summer, probably.
A little bit. We're still getting casting releases for the Odyssey, though. That's my point. It is so new. Everything is so fresh, and it's like, and here's another movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's fair.
Do whatever you figure.
Take a step back.
Plus, I saw another rumor though about what it could be. Is the remember when we were talking about the rumored plots for the next movie?
The
we talked about that
thing.
Vampire one, the psychological vampire one. That could I could definitely see Robert Downey Jr. playing a vampire.
Sure.
So that would be interesting. But
love to suck.
And I wonder too, because Michael B. Jordan also has that Sinners movie coming out, which is a vampire thriller. I wonder if, between that and Nosferatu, maybe he put this, if it is a vampire movie, to later, so he didn't have like a bunch of vampire movies coming out around the same time. Maybe you want a little space there. But I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, I'm pumped for the Odyssey. That's obviously in the main focus for me right now. But
sure, same here. I mean, I appreciate you spreading rumors, RJ. I think that's
Thank you.
Helpful.
What we do here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was from like a production website, so I think it was relatively well founded, but who knows? Like they could have put like a fake title in there.
Even if it's not, let's I like creating false narratives and running with it.
Yeah, who doesn't love a little bit who doesn't like a little bit of misinformation?
I like misleading the public.
Why not?
Yes. But you are right, Nick. Like I feel like we have a casting announcement for Odyssey every day. It kind of reminds me of Oppenheimer. The same thing was happening.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I hear you. What I'm a big fan of.
What?
Movies that get made with either people from Massachusetts or here in Massachusetts. I'm a big New England guy. Rip, starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, or R.I.P., which stands for Rest in Peace, is a new movie directed by Joe Carnahan, who directed The A-Team and The Gray. And the film follows a group of Miami cops who discover millions in cash in a derelict stash house. Releases in fall of 2025 on Netflix. Again, starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. It's a Good Will Hunting reboot. And Matt, what do you think about this?
It feels a little cheap just off the surface, just based off what you said. Now, I haven't seen a trailer or anything, so I really don't know. But just based, I mean, two Boston guys playing like Miami cops, and it's like a Netflix release.
Right.
I don't know. That just that, without seeing anything, knowing anything. I don't know. It sounds kind of cheap, kind of like a Gray Man vibe,
Okay.
This feels like it's going to be like a 40%
on Tomatoes,
on Rotten Tomatoes. And just the only reason Ben and Matt are doing it because they're gonna get a bag from Netflix,
right?
You know what I mean? And you throw Ben and Matt in the movie because they're two big names, so people will watch.
You mean like in the Odyssey?
Yeah, no, but honestly, it sounds like it'll probably make money, but I don't know if it'll be good. But I hope it is. You know what I mean? Because I love Ben. So
RJ, whatever happened to the movie that they made? I want your take on this, obviously, but whatever happened to that movie when they shot in Bovis? What was the deal with that movie?
That was the stupid Apple one, The Instigators, with Casey Affleck and Matt Damon, which turned out to be kind of like a buddy cop movie, which I thought it was going to be more like gritty in the town, like. But
right.
my mom watched it. She said it was stupid, and that's saying a lot because
no, your mom's a very sweet.
It's hard to disappoint her.
Right, she's a very sweet, forgiving woman who would who allows for a lot of.
But she does have a solid taste in the film, so I didn't end up watching it.
Big peaky.
But
sure. Yeah. No,
I mean, in regards to this, I mean, most of the signs are bad. All right. I think Joe Carnahan doesn't have a great track record. The Gray and the A-Team don't have the best reviews.
Like the A-Team.
Being on Netflix, not great. I'll say if Ben Affleck was directing this, I'd be a lot more excited.
Sure.
He's a great director.
Because he's a great director. Yeah. And I'm excited to see the both of them. I mean, that little image that they put out, like, it's definitely a different look for those guys. Like Damon's got like the goatee going and stuff. So I'm gonna watch it, but it's the one thing that might be good is it is produced by their company Artist Equity. So this is like a project that they were involved in from start to finish. So I mean, they have a pretty good taste so far. All the movies they put out have gotten pretty good reviews so far. So maybe it is a good script. Maybe they think it's going to be good, but I agree with Matt. I think a lot of these signs are not great. I'm very disappointed that it's releasing on Netflix. Yeah. We'll talk about that more.
Yeah, see the Netflix
later,
release. When you hear that Netflix release, it's almost like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Makes you a little,
because it's going to come and go, and that tells me that they don't feel like it could gain traction in the theaters.
The Netflix release, I hear that for like a movie, I'm like, all right, like it feels cheap already, you know?
Right.
And that's just me, you know. It feels like one of those like Adam Sandler like movie, you know what I mean? Like,
and I know Ben Affleck's not directing it, but he's producing it, and I feel like he started this new company, trying to like elevate artists and that whole thing. I mean, Nick, you've heard like their whole thing is like everyone who works on the film gets a cut of what the movie makes. I forget the exact term from it. But and then you put it on Netflix.
We call that communism, RJ. Communism is the word for it, but go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. Right. But you know what I'm saying? It's like they're all about the artists and that stuff. And then you sell out to a streaming service is a bit frustrating, because I have it hard to believe that Netflix was the only production company willing to distribute this,
Unless it's dog shit.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Right?
That is a good point.
So if it's not that good, if it's not that good of a film, and Netflix was like, I'll give you 60 mil, and Universal and all these other places were like, we're not touching this. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, you might be right.
Well, it's a possibility. It doesn't mean that it's a bad film. It's a possibility. So
no, but you'd think like a Paramount or a Universal would pounce at a movie like this with those two in the lead if it was good. If the test screenings or whatnot were good.
Right. Yeah, I think
you might be right.
Yeah, it's not a bad premise. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I'm also watching Dexter right now, and that takes place in Miami with the Miami
rewatching or the new version.
No, for first time I'm on season 6 of Dexter.
Oh, dude, you didn't tell me this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Have you watched it, Matt?
No, I've never seen it.
No, I think you'd like it. Yeah, Allie wanted to watch it, so we're on season 6. It's pretty good. It's definitely seasons 1 through 4 are the peak. But I've enjoyed it.
I just finished Bookie, so I need a new show.
Are you on Sebastian?
Yeah, try out Dexter.
I finished it.
What'd you think of it?
Dude, I liked it.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's cutesy.
It's cutesy. It is cutesy.
There's 2 seasons of that,
episodes are like 25 minutes. They're just going around LA and they're like stuck at their job. They're always getting screwed over.
Like the worst bookies in the world.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, dude. You know what it is? When I get home from work, I don't want to think too much. I watch like 2 episodes of Bookie. It's nice.
It's the entourage.
Sebastian cracks a few jokes. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, that's fun. I don't have to think. Like I go on my phone during it. I like it.
Right. You can play a game and listen. You look up for a funny bit. You look back at the phone.
Yeah, no, I think it's solid, dude.
It's good. Yeah, I've watched a few episodes of it. It's not horrible.
Not bad.
I think with regard to this, go ahead. What?
No, I was just going to say Dexter has my support, though it seems like they're ruining it already with all these other spin-off shows. But
Have you ever watched 6 Feet Under?
Oh.
No, but Michael C. Hall's in that, right?
Well, yeah, he stars in it, and he was fantastic. Yeah. And I remember way back in the day when 6 Feet Under was still coming out, nobody could talk. And my dad would say to my mom, he'd say, all right, Kath, I'm going to sit down and watch 6 Feet Under. That was the thing. It was
Yeah.
it was a
Well,
thing
it
that
takes place in
we
a
watched.
funeral home, right?
Yeah, it's family-run funeral home. They have to. They're always, competing with big box funeral homes, and people that want to
Yeah.
corporatize all that stuff. And every episode is a new death, a new client that the funeral home has, and
Oh, okay.
the way that they navigate that. And then there's a whole bunch of every character has their own storyline and things they have to deal with and grapple with, and then it's all centered around this funeral home. So very interesting. It's a very famous show that I think it doesn't really hold up today because of the technology. The technology that we have today, like there's no iPhones and stuff like that. It looks like a period piece, but it's really just the late 90s, early 2000s.
But that's kind of like Sopranos, right? You kind of just put yourself in that world.
Yeah, but I feel like Sopranos holds up.
Because I think a lot of the stuff in Sopranos, though, if you think about it happening today, like cameras everywhere now, like even more so than even back then.
So I don't disagree with you with the cameras and stuff, but I will say that criminals don't usually use iPhones. They use the burner phone, flip phones, things like that.
Sure.
So I feel like they have ways of getting around stuff like that. But either way, I think it's a good show. Michael C. Hall's a fantastic actor, and yeah, if you like Dexter, if you like death and murder, and
but it's good. It's got like
only
comedic relief too.
Only killing bad
Yeah.
people.
I heard the ending is like one of the worst endings ever.
Well, they've already brought.
That's
it
what
back.
I've heard as well.
Yeah, I heard it's like great show, fucking worst ending ever is what I've heard.
We talking about The Sopranos again, or?
Oh, you don't like the
Yeah.
ending, Sopranos?
No, I do, but a lot of people didn't.
That's true.
A lot of people are upset.
I feel like
by
I feel like most endings usually don't hit.
Yeah,
right.
Game of Thrones.
I think Sopranos hits,
It's
Breaking
very- it's
Bad
hard.
hits,
Dude,
Better
it's-
Call Saul hits.
It's so like expectations are so big for like a banger show, like ending. It's hard to like meet expectations.
Well, you're like carrying an audience for 10 years,
Yeah.
and then you expect it to end. It's tough.
It is
Lost endings suck too.
right.
Yeah, yeah. But that show, I feel like, fell off
Yeah.
even before.
Once
the
they started
ending,
doing the flash forwards, it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
The
I have
flashbacks.
fond memories of that show because that was the first show I binge watched on Netflix.
Oh yeah, your summers, right? You have a bowl of like cereal or eggs and watch an episode.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I remember that.
nothing
I'd
wrong
come
with that.
over, we'd play basketball.
Before the dark times.
Yeah, dude, those were good times, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of good times that are now falling on dark times.
yeah.
Just ask
According to Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. He's been criticizing the current state of movies and streaming, saying, quote, "What the fuck is a movie now? Something that plays in a theater for a token release for 4 fucking weeks? And by the second week, you can watch it on television. I didn't get into all this for diminishing returns. I mean, it was bad enough in 97. It was bad enough in 2019. And that was the last fucking year of movies.
Wow.
Was 2019.
Which
Says
happened
he's-
to be a year that he released the movie.
Yep, he is in
All
no
the time.
no hurry to direct his final film.
I just
What do you think about this, Matt?
quickly, I will say I was surprised. I was on my YouTube TV the other day, not the other day actually, a few weeks ago, and I already saw I could buy and watch Gladiator 2 and Sonic 3, and it kind of
right.
and it dawned on me those I thought those would both be still in theaters, So it kind of defeats the purpose because if Sonic 3, because I would go see it in theaters. Me and RJ saw the first two.
Yeah.
We're the only people our age there that didn't have kids.
All right.
But I would go see it. But if it's gonna be on YouTube TV in a month, I'll just wait until me, RJ, you, and Josh can all we'll hang out one night. We'll all pitch in $5 instead of paying $20 a piece. We'll all just pay $5 a piece. So we'll just rent it one night and watch it. Like a movie like Sonic 3.
Wrong.
Right. Sure.
So,
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I mean, I don't know. I feel like
he's a lot though. Tarantino. He's a little much sometimes, but
I can be a little much too. RJ can be a little much too, especially RJ. Holy shit! I'm just kidding.
I don't think
thank
he's
you.
necessarily wrong.
He's not wrong. And the current state of movies is a bunch of big box bullshit.
Mhm.
It's how do we make the most money? You release it for a week a week or 2 weeks or whatever, because that is still one of the qualifications to be eligible to get an Oscar or some of these awards. You have to have the movie released in theaters. But I guarantee you, if that wasn't one of the check boxes, RJ, they'd go straight to
Oh, yeah.
Amazon Prime, straight to
Especially
Netflix.
Netflix.
theaters would be dead. So it's sad, and I think Tarantino's right. And I don't agree with him being in no hurry to direct his final film, because so I'm a big advocate for, just because everyone else is doing a shitty job doesn't mean that we
Right.
have to,
Mm-hmm.
So if the current state of movies is no good to Tarantino, why not come out with a banger? Why not hit it hard and come out with the greatest
Preaching to the choir, Nick.
greatest movie of all time, to be like, look at what movies can be, as opposed to, I don't like what everybody else is doing right now, so I'm just gonna fucking wait. I'm gonna fucking wait before we do it.
Yep.
Why?
Before
Why?
it's too late.
Now you're gonna be 90 years old, or you get hit by a truck, and you're gonna say, "Oh, I wish I could have directed my last film because I told everybody I was gonna make 10 movies and I only made 9."
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Well, honestly,
what are we doing?
Nick, I feel like we like blow these guys a lot, right? We love them, Tarantino, Scorsese, but I feel like it's time we hold them accountable, though, because Scorsese's movies, Killers of the Flower Moon and The Irishman, one was a Netflix movie, one was an Apple TV movie they both had short releases. You have David Fincher, his past 2 movies have gone straight to Netflix. It's like you have the best in the business. Like, they say one thing about, saving cinema, and then they allow the streaming services to fund their movies.
Okay,
So they're not
hold
even
on.
fighting for it.
So I have a retort for you, RJ.
Okay, let me hear it.
Right. If Netflix called you tomorrow and said, RJ, we watched Cadillac and we want to make that a feature and we're going to give you $75 million to do it, you think you could do it for 75?
I would, though, because I'm not established, but I'm saying these guys are the best in the business.
Hold on. I get that, but it's not about being the best if you're really the best in the business, why don't you just make a fucking movie? If we can figure out ways to make and fund movies at our age with no credibility, no viewership, no nothing, we still figure it the fuck out. Why is it that once you're successful making $100 million that you can't do a press release saying, I want to make the world's greatest movie. My name is Tarantino. You know what I mean? I'm established. Everybody knows I'm Scorsese. I'm going to make a movie and I'm going to release it and it's going to run in theaters for 6 months or 8 months or a year. And then it's going to go to Netflix or whatever it is, whatever street. I'll take bids. Why not change it up a little bit? My point is, Tarantino is claiming that he's so great, right? He is the arbiter of success and truth and what cinema is. Quite honestly, I would say that Universal and big studios, besides with Nolan, what are they putting out there? Star Wars. Disney's putting a bunch of Star Wars shit. Superhero stuff, which Scorsese doesn't view as cinema anyway. And Netflix has all this money and they want to make movies. And so they do a short release, and because they probably have it as a caveat in their, or as a clause in their contract, they say it has to have a short release or I'm not going to do it because I'm Tarantino and I want my movies in a theater. And then it ends up going to Netflix afterward because they're the ones that paid for it. Now, I'm not saying that Tarantino's necessarily wrong, but if people need hundreds of millions of dollars these days, like Scorsese, in order to make The Irishman, it was like a fucking $500 million production with new technology and everything else. Universal wasn't going to give him that money. So where was he supposed to get it? And if Netflix is the one paying for it, Netflix is where it's going to be. And same with Warner Brothers or HBO or whatever the hell else it is. You know, I guess Warner Brothers has a little bit more of a, theatrical kind of mindset because they've been in it for so long. But Netflix was always an at-home viewing service.
Yeah.
Always. It always has been. I'm shocked that any movie that was funded by Netflix is ever in the theater. Not that I agree with that, by the way. I'm just saying, if I owned a streaming service, why would I give a fuck about the theater
Yeah,
when I have a billion subscribers at home that watch my shows and movies every night? So on the one hand, you got to hold them accountable. I agree on that end. But on the other end, these people want to make movies. We want to make movies. I'm not going to turn down money if Netflix wants to make a movie with me. You know?
I just don't think that Scorsese's blameless though, because you're telling me if Netflix, so the budget for Killers of the Flower Moon was
Yep.
200 million. To
Okay.
me, that's ridiculous.
I agree.
I don't think that movie should cost that much, right? And
I agree
so
there
you're
too.
saying if let's say Warner Brothers said we'll give you 120 to make it, Netflix says we'll give you 200. I want to believe that Scorsese, who's what 80 years old and it believes in putting movies in theaters, would say, you know what, I'll do it for cheaper just so this comes out the right way. But you know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree with
But
you.
then you know who else?
But how do we know what was offered to him?
I don't know.
And
I'm
let
just
me
saying,
ask
I
you
find
something.
it hard to believe that no one else put an offer forward.
I understand, but what is the right thing to do in that situation? Is it to take the most money and make the best movie you can? I am of the opposite. I would absolutely do that because I think the better story for publicity purposes would be director turns down extra money and says we can make it for less money. That's a better story to me.
And or God forbid DiCaprio, his salary was 40 million on that movie. God forbid he takes 25 and they make, you know what I'm saying?
You're preaching to the choir, number one. Number two,
Right.
I would say on the opposite end of things, people always have something to complain about. Now, granted, we're on a podcast. It's our job to talk about these things and give our opinions. But I'm saying if someone gets offered 250 million, they take the 120 million from a different company. It becomes a big story because everything's a big story these days, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the movie's okay. Everybody would say, how could they take the 120 with 200 million was right there on the table and they made this? I mean, if they had just spent 3 more days shooting or if they had just done that. So there's never a right answer. It's artwork. It's bullshit. You take the best offer you can get and you do what you can do with it. And hopefully, I mean, I think Scorsese and Tarantino and all these people, like they're trying to play the game as best they can. What are you going to do? The industry's changing. That's why I brought up last week, RJ, that Netflix is building huge studios in New Jersey. They would never do this. This is the first studios that are being built on the East Coast. 10 years time, Hollywood East is going to be huge. Okay?
Yeah.
20 years ago, the idea of having movie studios in Massachusetts was absurd. You fly out there, you put everybody in a hotel, you shoot for a week, and you go right back and shoot your studio stuff in Burbank. There is no fucking way that you would ever see these major studios out here 20 years ago. Now it's like becoming the norm. It's regular. Hollywood sucks as a town, you know, as the area. Nobody uses Hollywood anymore. It's all executives and production people, okay? So the industry is absolutely changing, and I think with the advent of YouTube and you know all of these different things that are coming out, you have to kind of adapt. So the risk that you run, even as an established person like Scorsese, who is somebody that we all enjoy watching his movies, but do younger generations even know who Martin Scorsese is? You know, if I say the famous guy...
That's why you market a movie, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying that Scorsese's at a level where the people that know his movies are okay with the marketing being Scorsese's coming out with a new movie. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So the younger generation is everything's watching on their phone, TikTok, any movie that gets made in vertical format, go fuck yourself. I'm all set. Yeah. I don't need that. I'm not going to make that a thing. Okay? I'm not going to advocate for vertical movies. Get the fuck away from me with that's a TikTok.
That's a crime.
Reel. Yeah, it's bullshit.
I'm just saying I don't think he should say that people should go to the movies more if his movies are not going into the movies.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So that I agree with. But
right?
Is he saying I wouldn't have to go to Netflix for money if everybody went to the movies?
Did he say that though? You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm asking, is his interpretation of saying everybody should go to the movies, you have to go, it's an experience, all that crap that he's saying, is he saying that because, he doesn't own a fucking theater, he makes movies, but is he saying that because he genuinely believes that, but then he's torn because he has to adapt with the industry because that's the way it's going. It's unfortunate, and he likes the old way things were done, But if he still wants to make movies for $200 million, he's kind of got to play the game. I don't know. Matt, what do you think about all this?
I think
No, RJ. What were you going to
Go
say,
ahead,
RJ?
Matt. I was just going to say, I think at that point he's going to tell DiCaprio we'll find someone else if he's asking for 40 million. I just did the math. If they shot that movie for 60 days and he made 440 million, he made just under 700 grand a day. That's insane.
It's
For one guy.
It's a lot of money. I don't disagree with you. I have
Leo
other
tax.
issues. I have other issues with Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, I think he's a fantastic actor, but I saw many interviews regarding Killers of the Flower Moon where Leonardo DiCaprio read the Scorsese called him and said, "I want you to be in the movie." DiCaprio read the
He
script,
changed it.
and they spent it was written, done, ready for production, and DiCaprio delayed the production for a year, and they rewrote the entire script. We'll never know. They say it's a better film this way. We'll never know because we didn't see the original
It's
movie
like the
that would have been
LeBron
shot.
factor.
Well, I think the original script was he was playing,
I don't
Jesse
care.
Plemons.
I don't
the cop.
care. I don't care. What I'm trying to tell you is no fucking actor is ever going to tell me that we got to rewrite the script. I'm a very big advocate of stay in your fucking lane, okay? I would never tell Ryan Collins how to hold the boom mic unless the sound is shit. And then I would say, why is it shitty? I don't know how to do sound. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you agree with what
He
I'm
was
saying?
a producer on that movie. So he must have had some say, though.
I get it. I understand
Yeah.
that. But you take the entire thing and you start rewriting stuff. And listen, Scorsese agreed to it, and they have a great working relationship, and Wolf of Wall Street, and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Imagine, RJ, if you were making a movie, if you're directing a film, and, whoever else starts telling you how to direct the movie when they have their own job to do on set. Where they tell you, I don't think that he would say that or whatever, a movie that you wrote. Wouldn't you say, great, write your own fucking movie the way you think you'd write it then? What are you talking about? Whatever happened to that?
Who knows?
I value actors a lot. I work with a ton of actors all the time. I think they're great. But I think the greatest actors show up, find their light, memorize their lines, say the words, and go the fuck home. And then they show up at the film festival and they help you, promote your film so that you can make money and hire them again. But they're doing a job, and their job is to say the words that are written on the page in the right way or whatever it is. Their job's not to tell you that, opine on whether or not the movie's good or what a different production would look like or any of this other crap. We all need to kind of collectively pull our heads out of our asses and get back to doing what we individually know that we're good at doing. To create a good movie in the end, I would say.
Right. I don't know, Matt, what do you think?
I mean, honestly, it sucks for like the in theater, goers, like the Netflix and like everything right to Netflix. But like, I understand, like, it's hard to, even when you have a ton of money, you always want more. No matter what you have, it's hard to turn down money. You know what I mean? You see it with like the sports players all the time. You're like, oh, how could he take that like 500 million or like that big contract? Like, oh, he doesn't have enough millions, but like you always want more, kind of like with anything. So I understand that, but that way of thinking for the filmmakers, and they probably think too, the more money I could make,
the better movie.
Like I understand that line of thinking. And even if you could, like they, if they worked really hard, they could make it for less. But like, if you have an extra $50 million to make something, like I would take it too. You know what I mean? You could do things you might not be able to do, and it's just safer. You know what I mean? You could make a better movie. So I understand that line of thinking. I think the only thing that sucks is, you're talking about it a little bit before, Nick, is, that kind of like the in-theater, cachet, that kind of the long releases in theaters, not going right to streaming. I think that that whole kind of feeling, that, nostalgia feeling that we kind of grew up on is fading away. And I think it's like film junkies, it kind of sucks. But you're right, it's just the way things are going, with everything else in the world, I
don't disagree.
And I feel like if no one's going to fight for it, then it's going to die. That's why I'm saying if guys like Fincher and Scorsese are laying down.
Fincher and Scorsese, what about, yeah, that's true. But like, we need directors that are more like Coppola, in my opinion, that
Sure.
would remortgage their house in order to make a movie. Like someone who cares enough about it, to say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm, that was crazy. When you look at like The Godfather, Coppola's dad is in the scene playing the piano and stuff. Like he did everything he possibly could. A lot of his relatives were in that wedding scene in the first
He went
Godfather.
bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he almost got fired 6 times.
Yeah, whatever it took to get it done. you know?
Right.
Just so he could make Megalopolis.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Well, he's 110. Let him make whatever the fuck he wants. What I'm saying is that like you have someone like Coppola who is legitimately passionate about the art of filmmaking to the extent that he'll do things that put his own livelihood, his own financial security in jeopardy because the movie's more important than he is. Like to him, I'm saying his own life is not as important as getting his message out there to the world and creating the thing in the vision that he has. That's a rare fucking breed right there, RJ. I'm telling you.
It's cool.
Yeah, and I'm saying he wouldn't do the same thing as they're doing.
Right. No, I'm
Quentin
agreeing with
opposite.
you. I agree. I think you're right. I'm just saying we need more people that are more like Coppola who are going to fight back against studios and all that other shit and say, no, this is the way we're going to make the movie because I'm the director and I'm the artist and this is what I want to do. And if you want to pull funding and you don't want to help me produce it, that's fine. I'll remortgage my house. I care that much about the project. If somebody said that to me, I'd say, you know what? Maybe I got to trust you. Maybe you can still have my money. Like that's ballsy to say. Like you got to you know what I mean? Like that's a big deal. Nobody's like that. Nobody's a stand-up person anymore. Seriously. Everybody lays down and it's so fucking annoying to me. Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, it's just the way of the world. You know, it's rare to see, like you said, like filmmakers or even in music, like artists who are married to the craft. You know what I mean? And we'll go the opposite way despite, everyone else is like, it's so easy to go this way. They'll go that way. And you're right with, music and filmmaking and everything. It's very, even like Robert Downey Jr., man, like with taking the role as, what's he doing in Marvel? Dr. Doom? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
Like you would think like of him, like of all, he's got all the money in the world, right?
After winning an Oscar.
Everything, win every award, right? Everyone knows him. You know what? You think him of all people would appreciate the art, what they built 15 years of Marvel and kind of like let it be. But even they flash enough money in front of him. You know what I mean? And he takes it as Dr. Doom. So it kind of sucks. But you're right. It's what you see nowadays,
Matt, who's the only guy, in my opinion, that walks the talk in regards to this?
Walks the walk.
And like with like acting?
With it all. Come on.
I mean, off the top of my head, I got Kendrick. I don't know.
No, T. Cruz.
Oh, that's true. T. Cruz is the man.
He's been like vocal about stuff like this for years. He's been vocal about, when you put a movie on your TV at home to switch the settings so it doesn't do the motion blurring.
Dude,
he's told people to go to the movie and he puts his movies out. Top Gun Maverick was done and ready to be released in 2019. Then COVID happened. He
waited.
They wanted to put it on Paramount Plus. He said, no way. We're not putting this movie on streaming. He waited till 2022. The movie comes out. It makes $1 billion. It gets nominated for Best Picture. He's the only. Why can't Scorsese and them fight like he fought?
He does all his
because they don't have to. They don't have to. They have their money, and I don't think that for them it's
Tom
the same.
Cruise doesn't.
I think for them it's Tom Cruise. First of all, I'm not getting political like Trump v. Kamala political, but Tom Cruise is an extremely political person when it comes to Hollywood. Between Scientology and the amount of pull he has and when he says things can be released and everything else, and he puts that fucking smile on.
He's LeBron.
And flutters around a red carpet a little bit, and everybody thinks he's so great. And I'm not saying he's not great, but like, I wouldn't want to be in a room with him when he's pissed, having him flip out. Like he's a little nutty. All right,
but I kind of like it.
He
at
is
this point.
He is
I
nutty.
wish more people were like that.
But you can tell he really cares about the art.
I agree.
Of filmmaking.
Right.
And
I
he puts
agree.
out,
But I'm saying it's not surprising that someone who has a net worth like Scorsese of $200 billion can say, "I want to make this movie because I like making movies." I don't give a fuck where they put it. The idea is to make the movie. That's what I like doing. I don't want
Yeah.
And by the way, when I was younger, it's a better experience in a theater. We should get back to that. If the public gets back to that, my movies will go back to that. But he doesn't have all of that pull. Tom Cruise is like all over the place. He's in everybody's, you know what I mean?
I like him.
He's in everybody's office in Hollywood. He's schmoozing. He sends people
Cakes, Christmas cakes.
coconut cakes on a list. You
once
got a
you're on the
certain
list,
list
yeah,
of
you're good.
people. He's sending cakes to Henry Cavill.
Well, that's
and-
the thing.
That's lovely.
I
think
like
it's
people
lovely,
throw him
too.
Under the listen, the Scientology stuff is weird, no doubt.
Listen.
But everything that I've heard and seen from him,
All
I
I'm
mean-
saying is if the king of the blockbuster mafia was sending me a coconut cake, I'd feel like I owed him something is all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Like in the
there's,
good graces.
there's definitely something there. The fact that people are like, please, Tom, let me get on the list for a cake.
But
Like, why do you have so much pull? What's going on? You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is a little bit, these directors, and the other thing is he's an actor. So he's always been at the forefront. When a movie gets released, they say the director's name, whatever, and they wave from the back, but they like to be behind the camera. It's the actors who are out front with their pretty faces, and they're out there and they're taking interviews and they become famous and all this other stuff. And I think for people like Tarantino, who let's admit is a fucking weirdo,
yeah, it's weird.
he likes to make movies. He got into movies because of the traditional way that movies get made, and he's annoyed by it. I don't like the self-aggrandizing. I'm in no rush to make my 10th film. Personally,
He's always like that.
I like this.
He's
I
been
don't like it.
pretentious, yeah.
I don't
No.
like the pretentiousness. You're an artist.
I
It
don't
doesn't-
either.
But I don't think that Scorsese is in the same vein as Tarantino. I think Scorsese is just playing the game, doing what he can do. He doesn't have the control. And when Netflix calls him and says, you want to make The Irishman for half a bill, he goes, sure. What if I want 600 million?
Yeah, if you can
Netflix says,
get it, man.
sure, go for it. I mean, what the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas Tarantino not only shits on Netflix and doesn't make any movies that come out. Now, the thing that threw me with this quote is that he said it's bad enough in 97, it was bad enough in 2019, and what did he say? It's bad enough 2019, and that was the last fucking year of movies. What does that mean?
Yeah, I disagree with that.
What does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, Oppenheimer, that last year was awesome.
It's fantastic.
He's a bit wrong there.
Correct.
I
Correct.
think
You
he
don't
just
see
said that 'cause that
Scorsese
was the
seeing
year
shit like
Once
that.
Upon a Time in Hollywood,
which
came
is probably true, and that's fine
Yeah.
for him. But you know
Yeah.
what, buddy? If you've made some good movies, don't get me wrong. You haven't made 50, you've made 9. Okay, cool. You've made
Yeah.
some good movies, and I'm not doubting that. But like, okay, so you're in no rush. I guess maybe
Yeah.
let me know, because personally, I haven't been a fan of his latest creations. I wasn't much of a fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it was a little too. The story was a little avant-garde for me, a little all over the place, and that doesn't make me right, though. You know what I mean? It doesn't make him right either. I think it just makes him kind of a prick to say that the last year he made a movie, that was the last year of movies. I don't see Scorsese acting like that. I see Scorsese being like, these people said they would fund my movie. There has to be a little bit of a difference there. Do you disagree?
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, he's complaining about there being no movies, like you said, and then saying I am in no rush.
Right.
And if
Why
he's
don't
in no
you
rush
put
to
out a
make
better
it, I'm in
fucking
no rush
product?
to see it.
Why don't you put out a
know?
better product? Doesn't he own a theater?
He does. He owns 2.
Great. So why the fuck is he not making movies and putting them out in his own theater for a year at a time?
Yeah.
I agree with
I'm
you,
with
RJ. I'm not giving you shit. I'm saying like,
Yeah.
but I don't think of it the same way with Scorsese, who I think is just an old guy who likes to make movies. He's always liked to make movies, and he'll make them by for whoever wants to fund them. I've got a project. My name's Scorsese.
I don't know.
Look at my eyebrows. Give me money. I mean, that's what he is. That's it.
To me, you would think the greatest living director would have more pull than where it appears he does. I don't know.
I would venture to say that there are people out there, not myself, but there are people out there who think that Tarantino is a better director than Scorsese.
Well, they're wrong.
I agree, but I'm saying
You want to say Spielberg, maybe, but
but that guy's worth $8 billion. If he's looking for funding, we got other
yeah,
issues.
Yeah, Mr. Blockbuster.
That's true.
But like there are different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, everyone's in a different shit.
Well, Nolan wouldn't allow this. He refused to let Tenet go
Right.
to HBO Max and
Right,
get bombed
but
in the
Nolan's
theaters.
also the kind of guy that is so passionate about what he does that he'll take a year only shooting on weekends for $6,000 to make a feature.
Right.
That's the
Right.
type of guy that Nolan is. Okay, so we're dealing with all different types of people here.
Everyone works differently, different styles.
Correct.
He's a
Right.
knight.
What?
He's a knight. He was knighted. His name's Sir Christopher Nolan now.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I get a whole other thing. Yeah.
All right.
He's honorable. All right.
An
Yeah.
honorable
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. The right
Yeah.
honorable
An honorable guy.
order.
Well,
Order.
if there is one silver lining here, I think it's a good sign that like the younger directors like Robert Eggers and Jordan
Peel.
fucking Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler, like none of their movies are going right to streaming.
Well,
All
sure.
of Eggers' movies have gone to the theater, so that's a good sign.
I also think that the streaming stuff, when directors are getting these contracts for streaming, it's because they've already established themselves. I mean, I feel like it is still a little bit of the industry of if you can make it in the real world, then we'll call you up for the streaming stuff, and you can kind of relax, and we'll keep giving you
Pumping
fun.
shit
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I have no problem with like a movie coming out and then it goes to streaming. That's kind of just replacing the old times of when it went to DVD. But why does it have to come out on streaming 2 months after? You know what I'm saying? Why can't they just wait a little bit?
Well, because people don't
That's
go to
what
the theater more than once like they used to.
But maybe you got to force them.
I don't.
Grab them by the hand. Yeah.
I don't disagree. I really don't. I think it's an interesting thing, but that's probably the reason. They're probably seeing a less people go to the theater as often, and so because of that, they do the theatrical release, and it's like a big push, and then they go bang
Yeah.
streaming because people are going to stay home anyway. But back in the day, and I'm sure you've done this, Matt, I'm sure you've done this too. Back in the day when I think the last movie that I saw more than once in theaters, it's a long time ago, so don't come for me in the comments here. The last movie that I saw more than one time in theaters was Wolf of Wall Street. I went 2 times.
What year was that?
2014, I think, something like that.
13.
Wolf of Wall Street was 2013. Yeah.
2013. Okay.
Dude, me and RJ I saw Last Jedi, I think 5 times.
In the theater?
Yeah, in theater.
Why?
Because dude, I'm not gonna lie, terrible. Me and RJ saw it like together opening night, and then we went and saw it the next morning, like 8 hours later, with John Hannon and Matt Burgess in like the first row. And then
I saw Oppenheimer 4.
And I saw it 3 more
That was
times.
a good-
Yeah, I mean, I guess with regard to
Terrible decision.
I guess with regard to that,
Yeah.
you were taking other people with you.
Yeah,
and
I
kind
went
of
with
like
5
showing them.
I went with 5 different. I went first with RJ and Sam.
Yeah.
Then I went the next morning with Burgess, Hannon, and RJ came because he wanted to see again. Then I went with my cousins. Then I went with Irvine and Leganis and Donaldson. And I think the 5th time I went with like
This was
somebody else.
This was also before like Star Wars collapsed and we've
Yeah.
become jaded and polluted. So yeah,
Wasn't-
Right.
But
I
like
get that.
all the
I'll
big
give us a break.
those big Star Wars movies and like Infinity War and Endgame. You're right though. I would go see those 2-3 times. You know, like
Mhm.
usually. Like I can't remember the last time.
Now I don't even know if I'm going to see the new Captain America. You know, it's like
Oh, definitely not.
Well, so this is my point.
Yeah.
So because of that mentality, what are directors supposed to do? Turn down funds? Like,
Right.
and it's very easy, by the way, very easy to sit up in your ivory fucking tower, okay, with
Ivory.
your money that you've made from the 9 other films that you've made, and say, I'm above this. I'm too good. I'm so good for this industry. I'm not going to make anything. As I own 2 theaters and refuse to release. Do you know how
Yeah.
do you know what the lines would look like if Tarantino humbled himself down, made a movie, and distributed it in his own 2 theaters only for like a month? Do you know what the lines would look
Right.
like to get into a theater? Like, do you know what kind of a publicity stunt that would be? For Tarantino. Not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me and you. I'm saying for someone with the fucking resume and clout that
Cast
someone like
ass.
Tarantino has. For him to say, I'm making a movie, fuck the industry and fuck Netflix and all these other fucking people. I'm making a movie and I'm releasing it only in my theaters. And maybe when I'm done with that release, I'll consider taking money from Netflix or a streaming service when I decide. Imagine
Yeah.
if he had the same kind of vim and vigor that he has toward this industry, instead of shutting himself down, because now you're making nothing. Now you're an artist who doesn't paint. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So what are you, just a critic now? You think
Tired.
you're a big tough
I
guy?
just-
You don't have to make anything
I
else.
feel like too,
Tired.
it's like if these budgets are going to be so big, and that's why the ticket prices are so much more expensive. Like, put more of the money needs to go into marketing, because I feel like none of these movies really are marketed well. I think the only movies that get marketed well are horror movies, and they're lower budget, and they know that they can, if they do the right marketing, they sell
Well,
it. You know what I'm
The
saying?
last
So, like,
great marketing
I don't know.
thing I saw was Barbie and Oppenheimer,
And that was grassroots.
Yeah, exactly.
and they kind of
Those smile movies.
yeah. Those were the last movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer, that like my mom knew was coming out. You know what I mean? Like everyone, you saw it
Right.
everywhere. You know, the McDonald's
And I live
toys.
in,
You
like,
know, like
People had shirts made.
yeah, everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know.
And I live in a bubble here in LA because like the billboards are everywhere because it's like the big industry, right?
Yeah.
But like I'm sure there's movies that I know are coming out because I've seen it that you guys haven't. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the same. Yeah.
So I plan on at some point. Eden left a comment on the Nick Williams show last
Oh,
week.
shit.
Yeah, asking.
Can I come on sometime?
Of course.
All right, cool.
She left a comment asking if I was going to review The Apprentice because I talk a lot about Trump and stuff on the Nick Williams show.
Oh yeah, you watched it.
But I watched The Apprentice, and then I also watched A Different Man, which also has Sebastian Stan in it. And I was texting you about it last night, RJ.
AKA John Potvin.
Dude, first of all, Potvin absolutely gives me Sebastian Stan vibes. And I don't know if it's in the
He
voice.
looks and sounds like him.
I don't know if it's in the voice, the look, the way he carries himself, or a combination of the three. Probably a combination of some sort. It's not exact, but if they told me they were cousins, I wouldn't question it.
Sure.
But A Different Man specifically, I never saw an advertisement for A Different Man on coming out in a theater.
Don't even know what it is.
It's about a disfigured man
Oh.
who goes through an experimental procedure to make himself look like not disfigured, and it actually is detrimental to his life. It's it's not a bad movie.
Sounds depressing though.
It just makes you ask questions about.
I feel like it's gonna make me sad.
No, it just makes you think, like, is plastic surgery worth it?
Okay.
Stuff like
All
that.
right.
Like, should you? It's. I think the message of it is more like. There isn't a message.
There's nothing wrong with how you are.
Kind of,
You know what I
but
mean?
it's more
Everyone's-
like, is there something wrong with what you are?
Oh,
But not accusing, not an accused, making you ask yourself, like
I get a lot of-
maybe there is, maybe there's not. It's up for us to decide, because here's what happens if you think there's something wrong with yourself,
yeah.
and you change yourself.
You try to fix it.
If you change yourself for somebody else, are you doing something for the better? That's the question.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like if you
And that's how that movie should be marketed. But they don't have you.
No. Okay, that's true. You have me, so you're welcome. By the way,
Yeah.
but no, I listen. I don't disagree with you. My point is that I didn't even know that was a movie until I saw advertisements that it was out on streaming, and I saw the advertisements on
Or it got
HBO Max.
nominated, yeah.
Right? Remember, because we were talking about the Oscar noms a few weeks ago, and we were saying how Sebastian Stan. I said, "Oh, for The Apprentice." You said, "No, it's for A Different Man." At that moment when we were recording, I didn't know that A Different Man existed.
Right.
Okay. So like, and after watching it at home, I would have gone to see that movie in the theater. I thought it was a cool looking film.
Yeah.
You know?
That's A24 though, which
Yeah.
surprises me that they didn't market it, right?
Yeah.
Was that on HBO?
Yeah. It's on HBO right now.
Nice. I have to check it out.
Yeah, I think it's halfway decent. It's definitely quirky. It's kind of made like an indie film in the sense that it's like there's not like there are obviously some effects because they made Sebastian Stan look like a disfigured person, some stuff like that. But most of the film isn't that. If they made that movie for 20 mil, I wouldn't have questioned it. It's not, in my opinion, it's something that we could make for 50 grand. I'm being honest. Most of the money would go into the makeup, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. That just goes back to, again, how much the actors are making. I think that's why these budgets are so big.
Well, sure, but then everybody charges more anyway, you know? Everybody charges more. Everybody, and then the SAG has certain rates that you can't not hit, you know? Background actors have to get 1,087 minimum a day. Like there's so many layers, and then there's like 700 people on a crew. Like whatever happened to like 3 guys with a camera, a microphone, and a light making a fucking, you know what I mean? Like what are we doing?
They need the Doge to come in there and fix up the.
That's what I should start. I should start A DOF.
The Doge of film.
Yeah, DOF.
Yeah.
Department of Film Efficiency. That's
right.
what I should
Yeah.
start.
You'd be great.
I
Just
think
go
that'd be
yell
good.
at everyone.
Yeah, walking in saying, "Shut it down."
What are you doing?
Shut it the fuck down. That's what we're doing.
That's right. Yeah, shut it down.
That would be great.
Shut it down.
The budget slicer.
Yeah, that would be great. I would say we're going to make the same movie.
You're
It's going to
fired.
look exactly the same. You're going to do it for half. And I'm taking a commish, which will be the half that I cut out of your fucking budget. Ooh.
I like
You're
that.
right, though, but I guarantee that so many of these movies get inflated budgets just kind of from incompetence or like people aren't holding other people accountable. And it's just poor preparation and stuff like that.
I would go so far
And then
as
it
to say,
balloons the cost.
I would go so far as to say they offer more to entice directors to work with them. So when you call Scorsese and you say, or you call Tarantino and say, "Hey, listen, I know you want to make this movie. Hi, I'm Nick. I'm calling from Warner Brothers, and I don't know, how's 350 mil sound?" They don't fucking budget it all out. They say, "What can we afford to give Tarantino? Let's see if he can make the movie for this much." You know?
Or how about like, what if they went to him and said, "We'll give you, can you make this with 120?" And he says, "Yeah, I think I can." And then but then
my
they are
next
also
question
like,
to
well,
him would be,
if
"Great, can
during
you
the
make it for
production
80?"
Goes up, we'll go up a little more.
true.
You know, like
Yeah, sure.
try to make this for 120, but if you need to go over,
here's
we'll
a like
put
as
it
if
forward.
like here's a line of credit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Here's 120 cash. We'll give you another 30 as a line of credit. Try not to use it. You know?
Yeah. Or if like we see the dailies from the show and it's looking good, we'll put
Right.
more into it. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. I don't know either. I don't know, but I think, honest to God, I'm not joking when I say this. I think it's up to people or our generation, people like us, to change that stuff, because Tarantino, like we can all kind of agree, RJ, that Hollywood's on its last legs here. No, it's on its way up.
Yeah.
So if that's really the case, then Tarantino got in right at the end of Hollywood.
Right.
The 90s were the end of Hollywood. So if
And
that's
to your point, yeah.
if that's the case, then the only alternative is to start a brand new industry altogether as filmmakers of this new generation and stop trying to be something that isn't anymore.
Yeah, and to your point, guys like Scorsese and Tarantino, they're at the end of their career. So it's like, what are they fighting for? They're not even going to be a part of it.
Which is why I don't think Scorsese fights. It's not up to him anymore. If Scorsese was 25 right now, he'd be hooting and hollering outside Hollywood with a picket sign. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
he would be going fucking crazy. But he doesn't have that piss and
And he
vinegar
doesn't
anymore.
have the time either. Yeah.
Right. He's done.
Yeah.
He wants to hang out with his daughter and do Super Bowl commercials with aliens. And he wants to, that's it. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
You know? And and let me tell you, he's got a great portfolio to fall back on.
Yeah.
He's had a wonderful life. I'm sure there have been some hard times for him too, but he's had a wonderful life. He's made some incredible works of art, and they should be, in my opinion, in the National Archives. It's not a joke. I think the Goodfellas and the stuff
100%.
that he's done is amazing. Anyway, that's our show. Movie Mob
Good
premieres.
stuff.
Movie Mob premieres 6 p.m. on Fridays Eastern every week, without fail. Matt, thanks for joining us. Josh,
Yeah.
thanks for your help. RJ, take it away.
How you doing?